Internet.
Hi, Internet.
How's it going? Guess who came back? I don't know why he keeps agreeing to come back. Adrian Mack. The Mack is back.
I thought you meant Derek.
Return of the Mack. No, fuck. I've been back for a couple weeks.
Derek's
I'm not
been on
important.
the last 3.
I'm not important here.
Derek's working on a real streak. Let's keep our fingers crossed his back doesn't give out again, and that those steroids hold up.
Yeah.
How long?
Swole as fuck.
How long are your steroids supposed to last?
You tell him my bear suit?
No.
They're supposed to last like 3 months. Hey, welcome to Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that made people mad online and explain why they're dumb for caring. As Dale pointed out, we are joined again by the illustrious Adrian Mack, here to blow our brain holes open with wisdom,
his knowledge about politics and stuff. Well, I guess I was going to say Adrian knows more about politics than me, but so does Derek, so that's not really a selling factor. It's just now that there's 2 people who know more about politics, it just makes me look bad instead of making
your average 6-year-old child. Did you listen to the episode of the podcast I recorded with my 6-year-old child? He understood politics better.
Yes, I listen to every podcast everyone I know records.
As you should. Adrian, what's up?
Oh, nothing. You did a podcast. You interviewed your 6-year-old son or daughter.
So we have a semi-regular podcast where it's just like talking to him about 6-year-old shit. But we started it when he was like 3, I want to say, or 2, just like barely talking. And it's been really funny to go back and listen to those like earlier episodes. And here's cute little like baby voice and the dumb shit he cared about back then. So, it'll be a nice little time capsule for us.
So do you call him out on the dumb shit he cared about back then in the newer episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Remember when you were 3 and you said this nonsense?
Yeah.
Fucking moron. Yeah.
Dummy.
I mean, it's important that he grows up carrying at least a moderate amount of shame around, like, over himself.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true.
You got to constantly milkshake duck him for all the bad posts he's made in the past.
Are you grooming him for something?
Well, just to like, you got to fuck your kids up like a little bit because like kids.
So they're interesting.
Kids who grow up stable and successful, like they're not motivated. They're not interesting. They're not, like Dale nailed it. But like kids who were just like a little bit fucked up, those are the kids who were like gonna really try to like break free of their fuck upness and hopefully achieve a little bit more. So.
Yeah, you want to get them right to the level where they become successful and don't like do crack like Hunter Biden. Like there's like the sweet, it's the Goldilocks zone where like they make money and they don't burn your house down. It's right in there.
That's
his other kid died, right? Bo?
Yeah, that's
but I don't want to make fun of that because that makes me look like a jerk. I just like to pick on the one that did crack because he's an easy target.
Whole family is like Dale. That's the whole like, and Joe Biden's like he's fucked up. He's got some like weird behaviors that are kind of inexcusable, but like, and I'm not excusing them because they are inexcusable, but like that family's had a lot of fucking tragedies. So, I mean, like there was his first wife and daughter, I think that died before he was like running for Senate. And then Bo died, and then Hunter's like, there's just a lot of trauma, and you're like, I can kind of get why he smells like is compelled to smell people's hair. Adrian, why are you like what?
Oh no, I'm making that face because somebody said exactly those same things to me last night. Not to me, but to a group of us that were sitting around a bonfire on the beach last night, and I'd never really even considered the multiple tragedies in Joe Biden's past.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question. Is it worse that he just smells little girls' hair because he likes little girls, or that how old was his daughter when she died? Was she like
she was young? She was like
was she the age of the kids that he's smelling? Like, is this all like him dealing with his trauma in a like a weird way? Like he smells them because he hasn't gotten over the loss of his child? Like, is this a thing where I have to feel guilty about making fun of him because he's just an adult grieving for his adult child, or is he still a creep that I can make fun of it?
Why are you fucking making me research shit on the fly? Fucking Adrian, say what you were gonna say while
I wasn't really gonna say anything. I mean, I didn't think it's impossible to speculate about any of that. I want to know if you guys believe Tara Reid.
Tara Reid, the chick who said that he touched her.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe her.
That's the thing. You can't, like, if you're going to be in the believe all women crowd, you can't be the believe all women crowd unless they're accusing. I mean, a lot of people try to do this. You can't just be like, I believe women if they're coming out against like Brett Kavanaugh or fucking Trump or whoever else. But I don't believe women who say people whose politics I align with. Like, yeah, absolutely. You have to fucking believe her. Like, I don't think politics is a dirty game, but I don't. Maybe I'm just naive. I'm like, oh, no one would like fabricate sexual assault allegations.
Yeah, I don't want to make an inappropriate joke, but I felt that she passed the smell test, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like, I believed her. For
Zing!
sure.
Oh, we're gonna get kicked off of Facebook now.
No, we won't.
Right. I'll tell you something. You might enjoy this. It was a few years ago now, but I was asked. I already told you this story. I tell you about the time I got booed at the Van City Theater.
No, tell us.
Lady
Please
Gaga.
tell us.
I was asked in my capacity as a film critic at the Georgia Strait.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to host the, I guess it would have been 2016 Oscar party, which they hold at the Van City Theater in Vancouver. Beautiful.
How bougie.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a very bougie fellow.
You can tell.
Hey, I'm glad you're slumming it with us peasants. Let's put it that way.
I'm slumming it in a forest. I've spent the entire day burning fucking yard waste. Can you see? There's actually like ash in my hair. In any case, there I was. I was asked I actually bought this beautiful suit to do this thing. And people, they go to the Van City Theater. They pay like, I don't know, $30 or whatever to sit there and watch the Oscar ceremony on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Schelling, who you may or may not know, he writes about fashion and other frivolous things for the media.
Oh yeah, I'm an avid fashion reader, Adrian. I know
He did actually. I got to say, he did a great job of, he did the red carpet part and talked about all their outfits and whatnot, and was deliciously sarcastic and super gay, I think. But then I had to come on with my co-host and just like MC this Oscar broadcast, which was being projected on a big screen at the best theater in the city. And it was the year that the movie Spotlight won. You remember that movie? Exactly.
I never watched it. Is that the one where the guy had an underage boyfriend in the pool? Where he was like holding him. Or wait, am I thinking of Moonlight?
Dale just thinks every movie. Dale's like the movie that plays on repeat in my head.
That's actually a memory from your own life.
Was it one of the movies that won Best Picture that had the gay couple with the questionable age difference? Because it seems like that happens a lot.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the one where it was about the Boston Globe in, I guess, the 80s. I can't remember when, but they blew the lid on the whole pedophile Catholic diocese pedophile scandal.
Oh.
Against enormous political pressure. And they managed. Mark Ruffalo was in it. It was a very worthy film, and it was okay, but it was not a fucking. That was the year Mad Max Fury Road came out, and if maybe I'm biased, but I think if you're supposed to be celebrating, the advances in the art of cinema, and you've got Mad Max Fury Road, which we all remember and love, and Spotlight, which nobody remembers and nobody loved, I think you'd go for Mad Max Fury Road, but they didn't. They chose Spotlight because, this would be my theory anyway. Hollywood likes to advertise its worthiness, right? So anyway, just before that stupid fucking film won Best Picture, if you recall, Joe Biden came out. Joe Biden, and he was an idiot. He comes out, and he's the vice president at the time, and he comes out, and Lady Gaga is with him, and she's a fucking phony too. And they decide, they do this thing where it's they're talking about Lady Gaga's, history of sexual abuse, which, you know, we don't want to make light of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she has no credibility as a human. So why do I give a fuck? And then her and Joe Biden on stage at the Oscars saying, you know, sexual abuse is bad. And,
Mm-hmm.
and if you've got a story, well, I want to hear about it. You get in touch with me at, you know, unclejoe.us.gov and tell me your story. And Lady Gaga's sort of sitting next to him, you know, looking all very serious and everything. And it was grotesque. And they cut to a commercial after that bullshit. And I remember looking at the audience and I was just appalled. And I looked at them and I went, "Are you guys buying this horse shit?" and unfortunately they were buying that horse shit.
Oh, yeah.
And they started booing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, like, you know, I had to do some pretty fast footwork to make up some ground. And I felt terrible about it. But here we are years later, and it turns out that Joe Biden's pretty rapey.
Yeah, it turns out.
So I mean, it was a very it was a great example, I guess, of the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Of Hollywood, and also this horrible the partnership between Hollywood and government that you see in particular down there, and which nobody seems to. It doesn't seem to bother anybody. It bothers me.
Yeah, I think now, like, Trump is officially lost, like, 100%, right? Like, he can't come back. That's true, political guys. I just want to make sure before I say my next statement. So now that Trump is for sure gone, can we just stop being Joe Biden apologists and start being like, all right, he did some fucked up things.
Well,
we're all like ignoring it because we hated Trump so much. Now that Trump's gone.
I don't see it happening though, and you know, there's a lot of Kamala Harris apologia going on out there too. I mean,
I know both of you guys have problems with Kamala Harris, and me being the non-political guy who doesn't know shit and is too bored by politics to research it. Say I'm a person who just pretend I'm a person who doesn't know about Kamala Harris or politics in general. Give me a 10-second spiel of why she's a bad person.
I mean, her policies throughout her career as a prosecutor and attorney general in California, like, they're not liberal policies. She fucking, like, it's fucking insane to me that everyone's just like, kind of like, man, we're gonna ignore that entire part of her career, and like, she's a hero because she's a woman of color and she's doing. It's like she fucking incarcerated and like fought for a lot of policies that like disproportionately affected Black people in California and kept them in prison. And everyone's like, nope, we're totally fucking ignoring that. She's a person of color, first woman vice president. She's a fucking hero to us. And you're like, I don't fucking get it. Like,
the fact that this is seen as some sort of victory for feminism or victory for race politics in the States is completely insane. But if you say it, you're gonna get yelled at.
They don't like to. They don't. No, like to.
But it's I mean, so Joe Biden wrote the crime bill and she fucking enforced it. You know, and a lot of Black youths in prison down there because of Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. She also refused to release or at least consider Sirhan's case. That's of personal interest to me. She said no to that, even though were that to go to trial again, Sirhan would be exonerated. But
I recognize that name. What is Sirhan?
He's the fellow that's cooling his jets in prison in California for not killing Robert Kennedy.
Oh.
He's the accused assassin, and he's the convicted assassin of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but he didn't do it.
Wasn't he on tape shooting him? Wasn't that the one that they recorded?
No, not at all. No, it's a we don't have to get into this, but it's a nutty
I smell
case.
A conspiracy theory.
Yeah, for sure.
Which
Robert Kennedy, who was on his way to winning the primary in California and was probably going to be the next president of the United States, was taken down by an assassin's bullet in 1968 at the Ambassador Hotel in LA. And the kill shot came from behind his ear.
Yeah.
This is in the autopsy report. You can look at it. You can find it online. He was shot he was killed by a shot that entered behind his ear about an inch away.
Mm-hmm.
and Sirhan was standing about 5 feet in front of him shooting blanks. So I don't know. I'm no physicist.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt, but could this just be that the Kennedys have weird heads that bullets hit and are just weirdly affected?
That's the only other plausible explanation. Yeah.
Because like the JFK bullet that hit him head was like super crazy too. And
yeah, didn't it like it curved?
Yeah.
Like they got the old magnet head Kennedys. That's what they called them back in the
well,
day.
then you'd have to. But the thing is, you'd have to argue that John Connolly had a magnetic wrist because the bullet. The bullet also apparently struck John Connolly, the governor of Texas, who was sitting in front of John F. Kennedy in the limo. And yes, the bullet entered from behind, went down, came out through his throat, I think, and then, sort of spun around, hit Connolly's wrist, and then rested in his leg. And when they displayed it to the Warren Commission, it was, as they say, pristine. It was in perfect condition. What's really strange is they actually removed more fragments of that bullet from John Connolly than would be possible given the pristine nature of the bullet. But yes, the Kennedys do tend to make bullets behave in a very in a ridiculous way. It's just a family trait. It's a thing. It's
okay.
Nothing you're concerned about.
I don't want to.
Pardon me.
I don't want to defend Kamala Harris, but I can imagine her seeing this, opening it, and be like, "Hey, boy, I don't want to fucking
not touching this conspiracy."
I can imagine her. I can imagine her seeing it and saying, "If I was to do anything useful with this, I would be ejected immediately from the club."
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's what really happens. But
yeah,
Derek nailed it. She has an appalling record as a prosecutor.
To get the one thing I can talk about that encompasses who Kamala Harris was and her fucking track record on criminal justice was the fucking this fucking insane truancy policy that she pushed through in California, where like if kids missed, I don't know how many, it was a pretty low number. Like if kids were truant from school,
I think it was 3 days. I think I know what you're talking about.
It was fucking insane. Parents could be charged with a misdemeanor crime if their kids missed like some fucking absurdly low. And like I was a teenager, I skipped school all the fucking time. My parents would be in prison for fucking ever.
I remember
if this policy had existed.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sorry, I was going to say when I said I didn't know anything about Kamala Harris. I'd actually heard about this. I just didn't know it was her. And I think the problem was the age too. Like it wasn't just like 14-year-olds who skipped school. It was like all the way through high school. So you could have like potentially 18-year-old guys like or girls skipping school for whatever reason, like even to go to a job, and then their parents would get charged with a misdemeanor. And they're saying one of the reasons this happened was to like target low income families, because then they couldn't pay the money for the misdemeanor charge, and then they get sent to jail, and they would like kind of just sort of fund the industrialized prison thing.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you didn't interrupt. What you did.
This is a podcast, Dale. Three white guys shouting over each other.
I just wanted to say the one thing I knew about.
For a guy that knows nothing, that was pretty good.
You know some shit.
Yeah.
And guess where I learned that, Derek?
Now you're done.
Wikipedia?
No. Joe Roganpedia.
Fuck. Okay. Well, yeah. All right. Fucking suck Joe Rogan's dick.
You have an issue with Joe Rogan. You don't.
Dale fucking loves Joe Rogan.
I think he's the next coming of Jesus Christ, pretty much.
I think
he's the most important man in media, and he's a Renaissance man, and he's making the young men of America better, and Derek hates him.
I think he's an asshole with the giant, like, come on. There's no reason this guy should be as fucking famous as he is. Like, okay, he works hard, but like, and he was like very early to the. Are we gonna have another Joe Rogan fucking rant?
I don't think we have to. I think everybody's well aware.
Anyway, I dislike Joe Rogan. Dale fucking can't get his dick out of his mouth.
The weird thing is, pretty much everyone I talk to about Joe Rogan hates him. It's like Nickelback. It's like everybody hates Nickelback. So who's buying their albums? It's like Joe Rogan. But I don't like that analogy because it means I'm buying a Nickelback album. But it's like, if everybody fucking hates this guy, how is he so popular? I just don't understand.
You were always the contrarian guy who, like, the minute something hit a threshold of popularity, you were like, fuck it, I'm out. I hate this now. So it's weird to see you jumping on the.
It's mostly because with music as contrarian, because usually when music hits a certain level, you're just forced to hear it on the radio all the time. But now that everybody does streaming music and radio's died, you don't really get overexposed to music as much. But I am still a contrarian. When something sucks, usually I'm like, whatever, and I'll just ignore it. But like when something's super popular and everybody loves it, like say K-pop, there's no reason for me to fucking insult K-pop. But now that everybody loves it for some reason, it's like, fuck off. Like, why do you guys like this so much? It's annoying. So I guess I'm still a contrarian, but I don't have to assert my contrarian views as much.
Look at you.
Contrarian all the time. You know, we all contain multitudes. You can be a multiplicity of things. I get it. I understand why you can't get Joe Rogan's dick out of your mouth, I suppose.
It's because it's delicious, Adrian.
I think what it is that maybe you like to judge a thing based on the quality of its critics. And in the case of Joe Rogan, who I often find deeply annoying,
yeah,
I find his critics to be much more annoying and certainly more smug in their sort of delusional self-belief.
Mm-hmm.
Especially coming from, here I go again. I've been on this show fucking a million times, and I just say the same thing again and again. Middle-class, educated, liberal types don't like Joe Rogan. I'm not really sure why, but I think it's probably because he's not going out of his way to reinforce their worldview every single fucking episode.
Yeah,
you know, he's
fucking pisses me off. Tell me what I want to hear, Joe.
I think, you know, Joe Rogan, I'm going to quote Jimmy Dore. He said it best. He said, you know, Joe Rogan's not afraid of a new idea. And I think he often misinterprets that new idea. Yeah. But I get that. I think the whole notion that he's somehow dangerous or whatever is just absurd. He's not remotely dangerous, but Anderson Cooper is, you know, Chris Hayes is, fucking Rachel Maddow. Those people are dangerous because they have a legitimacy conferred upon them that's not deserved, and they are working for empire. He's not, you know.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is a great segue maybe to the first topic, legitimate topic that Dale had on the agenda, which was, you know, Adrian, you're talking about these fucking media platforms and their legitimacy and the responsibility they have to maybe present a nuanced or unbiased worldview. Dale, what is this fucking thing? Steve Bannon, Facebook?
Okay, so what happened was Zuckerberg met with like the leaders of Facebook. I don't know. It said leader meeting or whatever. And he was like, I'm not banning Steve Bannon off Facebook, even though Steve Bannon had said that if he said something about he would behead two people, or I think it was the head of the FBI.
It was Fauci, and the head of the FBI.
Yeah, the head of the FBI and Fauci. He said they're not loyal to Trump, their president anymore. If I was him, I would cut their heads off, put it on a pike, and put it in the on the corners of the White House just to let everybody know. So he tweets that, and it's like that's pretty fucking terrible. And it's like even I wouldn't tweet that. I'd be like, all right, that's too violent. So Twitter like fucking ejected him because it's like the biggest thing on Twitter is like as soon as you incite violence on anyone else, you're fucking gone. Like my older brother joked, he told someone to kill themselves as a joke. Like, you know, that whole like, oh, go kill yourself, whatever. He said that in a tweet and he got banned. But then Facebook wouldn't. And then everybody was like, hashtag delete Facebook was trending. And everybody's like, we need to get rid of him or whatever. And then Zuckerberg was like, well, he almost crossed the line, but I don't think he did. So we're not going to ban him off Facebook, which I get. Like, you don't want to ban a guy like Bannon because there's so many right-wing people on Facebook that love Bannon that you would just be losing all of their dollars.
Well, and there is also this, I think we remember, was that this fucking year? Like, holy shit. Or last year when there was like the whole Trump assembled the White House social media strike force that was like talking about how they were biased against conservatives. And that's like this running kind of narrative in conservative circles that like these Silicon Valley tech companies, which like Silicon Valley, notoriously liberal, despite being these like fucking giant like corporate megaliths.
That are largely funded by the national security complex.
Yeah, but super fucking liberal. And so there is like, I think Facebook is very fucking worried about like really reinforcing that narrative and giving people reason. But it's like, in this political climate, you're fucked either way. You piss off the conservatives or you piss off the liberals, and either way you're getting boycotted and someone's deleting you always. I
think what Derek says is very wise. There's no winning here. I would question why we're all hyperventilating about Facebook in the first place. Why are you on it?
I mean, we're on it right now just because it's
I realize
the easiest way to reach the most people.
Well, yes, of course, but we haven't been handed very many effective alternatives, have we?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the bottom line. It's Facebook's here to stay, and it's going to be as vexing as all your other media, which is to say, it's not going to do what you want. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's going to follow its own muse, and its own muse is really about protecting its assets. So what the fuck? You're just on there. What are you? You're a user. You don't really have any fucking stake in this. Why are you there?
I mean, to me, Facebook is just built to suck as much money out of people like through their data and stuff. So just use it the way you want it to be, and it'll eventually, like, the ship will turn and it'll turn into the program you want.
But why do people feel that they have some sort of say in Facebook's policies? I'd like to see Mark Zuckerberg's head on a pike outside the White House.
There we go. However, now we're fucking off Facebook.
I know. He said that doesn't get you banned.
Nice. We'll actually see if this stays on.
However, I defend his right as a CEO of a shit company to make whatever decision he likes. I think it's ridiculous that they keep theatrically hauling him in front of these fucking Senate committees to be all sweaty and apologize for stuff that as far as I'm concerned is maybe the least of Facebook's crimes.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like, why? Who gives a shit? Why? Fucking, here's how you get rid of Steve Bannon. Stop giving him oxygen. Stop paying attention to him.
Yeah, that's true. Like, stop saying he's QAnon and let him just fucking. Isn't he supposed to be in jail or something too?
Fucking ignore him. Yes, let him cool his jets forever and whatever. When he finally goes down, he's gone. It's the same with Trump. It's amazing watching the media turn on Trump, because in 2016. Let me just say this up front as a proviso. I fucking hate Trump, and I'm glad he's gone. However,
I think we all do.
In 2016, he was making tremendous bank for all media outlets, for all corporate media outlets, and they bent over backwards to make Trump possible. I remember on the Chris Hayes' show, rather than going to a Bernie Sanders speech, they just spent 10 minutes on a fucking empty podium saying, "Hey, Donald Trump's going to show up soon." If you can find online, I think Les Moonves, who I think was chairman of CBS at the time, and he's speaking to a shareholders meeting or whatever. It's all on tape. It's all out there, and he's saying, "We've never had it better. Trump is so good for business," he's saying. He goes, he actually says this. He goes, "It's terrible for the country, but it's great for CBS." He says that, and these are the same people that now realize that they're going to make more money by turning on him.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's like Fox. Like, now Fox is anti-Trump and Trump supporters hate Fox. It's like, what the fuck? It used to be like that was your go-to for Trump stuff, but now it's like that One American News Network thing, I guess, is the new one.
Well, I think it was also that Fox had I don't actually know what the fuck happened there, because suddenly they were calling states for like Biden that hadn't been called yet. They cut away from Trump, Kayleigh McEnany, her press conference where they were like alleging voter fraud. And I don't know if it was Fox News suddenly developed a conscience and they were like, maybe undermining democracy isn't good for like our bread and butter anymore. But they did something, and like now everyone, like Trump himself used to like religiously watch Fox News, and now
I just think Fox got the memo, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I think they were definitely hedging their bets, and they're like, Biden's gonna win, and then Trump was doing all that like, oh, this is all like all these like voter fraud and stuff, and Fox is like, really? And then Trump like immediately turned on them as soon as they didn't back up all his like voter fraud.
No, I think the Empire decided that Trump had become a liability, and so all of their assets had to say that, and I think that's what you're seeing now. And you know, they win because now God, Biden, Biden.
I mean,
fucking hair sniffer.
If anybody's going to get the big corporations more money, it's going to be Biden.
Oh yeah, it's a win for Wall Street and the military-industrial complex, just like it always is. I think it's interesting that there's this like, you know, the right-wingers are going around saying, you know, Trump didn't start any new wars, and yet in reality, what happened? He didn't start any new wars, although he tried to start one with Iran. People seem to forget that.
Yeah.
He's, you know, the defense industry did very well under Trump. He dropped just as many bombs as the previous guy, you know, and the previous guy before that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a bit of an aside.
Yeah, well, I don't like none of that shit's gonna change. Like that's
that's one of the reasons why I'm pro Biden. It's
none
like
of that shit's gonna change. So you sit at a bonfire out of the beach here in Salt Spring, you know, on a night like a beautiful night, and people are like, "Aren't you? Oh, it's so great. Joe's gonna do great." And then Kamala, she represents me.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a white bald guy, you know.
Yeah, my thing was all of this stuff is going to happen in the Middle East. It's all going to be the same. All this like backdoor like military stuff's going to happen. But now we get to listen to Kamala Harris instead of Trump, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Kamala Harris being sassy.
Yeah, and
sassy.
It's all third party because instead of that guy coming up to you and telling you, oh man, I love Kamala Harris, this is why I like her, it's better than being like, oh, did you see what Trump said? And you're like, fuck, I don't.
Yeah, I feel bad for all those pundits who've spent the last 4 years, you know, doing really well, just yelling Trump, Trump, Trump.
Yeah.
And now that they've got what they wanted, which is not Trump, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean,
they're out of work now.
The best part is Joe Biden doesn't have any political promises that he made on the campaign to live up to because he's
not a single no platform.
He's still not Trump, so he lived up to every one of his promises.
That was exactly. No, Joe came through in the end. He's definitely not Donald Trump.
I mean, I'm okay with it. Whatever. Let's see what happens in 4 years.
So what'll happen to Russiagate now? You know, they for 4 years. Russia had stolen the U.S. election, but now the very idea that there might be voter fraud is, you know, sends people, it makes them apoplectic. You can't say that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, somehow a foreign country affected the election, and now it's like the own country can't affect their own election. It's like, guys, come on. Get your narrative straight.
Russia had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia and Israel certainly did. And
they got their fingers in everything.
If anything's affecting any U.S. election in a deleterious way, it would be the U.S. intelligence community. But no. My point is now, I don't think that there was. I don't think what Trump is saying is wrong. I don't think the Democrats are trying to steal the election. I think, you know, the GOP always tries to steal the election. But no, I just find it ironic that these same folks who spent 4 years screaming Russia, Russia, Russia are now offended at the very idea that someone might suggest that American elections are not this sacred thing that will never be breached by unwarranted influence.
I mean,
it's a little hypocritical.
Like what? That the U.S. is finally getting.
They're meddling in their own elections. For once.
You know, do we want to go there?
No, I don't want to go there.
the one thing I did want to bring up, it's kind of related to this, but it's not really the smoothest segue, was on Twitter, if you searched loser, like this was after Saturday, the first result was Trump. And it's like, one, I guess it's a funny, like, you get like, aha, they made it so that he's the first result on the search for loser. But on the other hand, you're just validating all of the times he said that the media was censoring right-wing instead of left-wing people.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And it's like, do you guys assume or at least suspect strongly that somebody's gaming those algorithms? I mean, do you think that result was deliberate on some level? Mm-hmm. If you typed in loser, you got a picture of Donald Trump.
Well, it had to be, because there's nothing about Donald Trump's like profile that would, if it was like an AI, there's nothing that would click it. Like there's no like loser in his name, or in his bio it doesn't say loser. So
I don't. How do you fucking game that though? Like,
well, so the tech behind the scenes would have to attach like an HTML tag or whatever to Trump's profile, so that when you search loser, it comes up. Like what I think was, I don't think anybody's gaming the system. I think just some like liberal, like loud guy who's in some medium level job at Facebook, Twitter, was just like, I'm going to do this and it's going to be awesome because this is me striking it back against the man. And now everybody will know how horrible Trump is and how much better the world is now that he lost.
Derek's looking like he's fading away.
No, yeah. I'm just like, like, what the fuck is the point? Like, it's just like,
what is the point? What is the point of what?
The fucking like, the thing that frustrates me most about liberals, and I guess the Democratic Party in particular in the United States, is that like they're the fucking weakest, most ineffectual, like just out of touch political party that I've ever seen in my entire life. And just like, they don't fucking understand. I've seen a lot of commentary on the right recently that's like, every time there's a fucking election in the United States, somebody pulls up that fucking map and it's like, here's where the highest, most educated states are. And look, they all vote Democrat. And it's like, you're a fucking idiot because, hey, this is like intellectual elitism that like isn't doing anything for anyone. And there is like this giant, like the United States and the people who vote for Trump, and like particularly like rural voters or like opiate addicts, or like there are a lot of very fucking desperate people in the United States right now.
Yeah.
And all liberals can do is they see someone voted for Trump and they don't ask questions and they don't want to understand why. They just call them racist and they call them dumb and they fucking go like I'm actually speechless at how much I hate like Western liberalism right now.
I am so heartened to hear this, like, because I feel you. I know it's, and what do you do with that? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is our cohort. These are our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm losing friends by the dozen because I'm not going to buy into this nonsense.
Yeah, like what Derek was explaining is why I think we got Trump in the first place, was all these people were just being like, oh, you like this, you're unintelligent and stuff. And there's enough people who are like, basically like, I'm sick of you calling me unintelligent and telling me what to do. I'm just going to vote for the wild card guy who says he's not with you. And then all those people like all those people in the streets right now, like that are like in DC having the Trump rally, like nobody's like, why are these people here? Like, why are they here? Like deep down, what's their reasoning to love a guy like Trump more than Biden? And like, they should get to the root of the problem, like why so many people are willing to vote for Trump and like what Trump stands for to them and stuff, instead of just being like, well, obviously they voted for him because they're racist and unintelligent, like Derek said.
I didn't see anything in the fucking Democratic Party messaging in this election that wasn't fucking different races are good, women are good. That's all we got.
Exactly. And what most people wanted was, yes, we're going to give you health care and we're going to end wars.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't say that.
Mhm.
And I think those, there is a news cycle, and choices are made very deliberately about what enters the news cycle, and those choices are made by corporations, and those corporations are very much in bed with the U.S. government, and certainly are sympathetic with its goals. So all this stuff about the MAGA demonstrations and so forth, this is a vanishingly small portion of Trump's base.
Mhm.
I think Dale said it, Derek, I agree entirely. Mostly when they talk about the silent majority, which is a phrase I don't want to use because it's been employed by the wrong people mostly.
Yeah.
But it's real. These are, as you say, people who have been who are feeling very disenfranchised, and I think Trump was a protest vote for most of them. They're not dumb racists. They're ordinary people who've been fucked over again and again and again their entire lives and feel like there's no alternative. It's a protest vote, but the news cycle doesn't talk about them. There's lots of good documentaries out there and lots of good journalism that does talk about that portion of Trump's base. It's immense. I mean, the fact that the Democrats, this is a major humiliation for the party. What happened? A major humiliation. This is hardly a fucking validation of their message. It's a validation of, as we were saying before, the not Trump message, and that's it. That's it. And that's hard. That doesn't count for shit, man. It's not going to change anything. But anyway, I was anyway, Derek, I really enjoyed your rant.
Hey, thanks. From one great ranter to another, I appreciate your support.
Yeah,
it was good. It's nice. It's like it's crazy because, like Derek was saying, like how angry he is with the left. Like that's where I've been, like maybe 2 years or whatever. And I'm like, I keep having to ask myself, I'm like, am I turning right wing right now?
It's not the left. I think that's category error that you keep making.
Okay.
I ask you to stop. The left is very, very aware of what's going on. The center, which David Graeber describes as the radical center, because it's actually the right. But we have all been trained and conditioned to believe it's the center. So it's reasonable, it's moderate, it's rational. It's not. It's the fucking right. And they will support any move that empire makes.
Yeah.
As they say, scratch a liberal and you'll find a fascist underneath. They will vote. They will vote for
that's ironic because that's all they want. Yeah, like what
they want is I mean, it's a word that's been overused, but it's performative. They're all about the optics. If you've got a black woman who's vice president, that represents me and I'm done now, and they can fucking go back to sleep now, right? And ignore the fact that there's 7 wars going on.
Yeah, but Adrian, we've been away so long. Can't we just have a nap? The other thing that's bugging me too right now is all these, like what you said about scratch a left, you'll find a fascist. This reminded me of all those
scratch a liberal.
Scratch
a lefty, liberal. You'll just find an angry lefty.
Okay, like the liberals who are like, we need to make lists of all these people who supported Trump throughout these 4 years and keep a list on. Like they're basically talking about blackball lists.
They're fucking Nazis, man.
Yeah, like it's just like the McCarthyism of the 50s, and it's like super scary. Like, wait, what? You want to make a list?
Oh, look how they've turned on Russia for no reason.
Yeah.
Or China, no, they're just fucking itching for more empire. I hate them.
Do you guys want to talk about something that's not to do with politics, but still to do with liberals being scared of stuff that they shouldn't be?
Is this a great segue?
No.
No.
There's no way to segue into what I want to talk about off of what we were talking about, but I feel like we've hit the end of like the Trump Biden talk, which whatever. Do you guys watch The Mandalorian?
No, but I am aware of what it is.
Okay. Adrian, do you know what The Mandalorian is?
Yeah, I watched the first season with my 10-year-old son, Topper, who I have not interviewed.
Yeah. So in the the second season started. I think we just had episode 2 or 3, and Baby Yoda, like there's Baby Yoda. Everybody's seen Baby Yoda. So what happens is there's like a frog alien lady, and she's like, I have these eggs. Well, she speaks frog, so someone translates it for her. She's like, I have these eggs. I need to get them to blah, blah, blah system where my husband already set up a time so he can fertilize these eggs so that we could keep our family line going. And you're like, cool. She wants to get her eggs there. And then the Baby Yoda like got into the eggs, and like throughout the episode, his gag was he'd eat an egg, and they're like, the Mandalorian guy was like, stop doing that, you got to stop doing that. And then it was like a weird like gag that you're like, I guess that's funny, I don't know, it feels kind of wrong just to eat like this frog lady's eggs. But then people got super upset because they thought that it was willfully endorsing genocide of this frog lady, because it was like people were like, this is making light of something horrible and all this stuff. And so there were calls to basically
losing it,
cancel the plot line of that episode.
Yeah. All those people who complained about that on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm willing to listen to what they have to say about genocide.
Yeah. Just so
after they've made clear their position on Yemen.
Oh,
Syria,
good one.
Iraq, Afghanistan,
not fucking imaginary fucking
Venezuela, Bolivia. After they've told me what they think about all of that, then I will entertain their opinions about a show made by the Disney Corporation. That's my feeling about it.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous because it's like, like at worst it was like cringy, like, oh, you shouldn't eat the eggs, whatever. But like, of course, people just went off the rails, and
it's fucking Star Wars, people.
Is this one of those things where like people, like everyone thinks that everyone's getting mad about it, but you go and you like check the thing and like there's more people talking about the people getting mad than the people got mad? Or were people actually, is this something that really upset people?
All the things I've seen about it, like I saw 3 or 4 people being upset. Like personally, I saw it and I was like, why is he eating those? Like you feel bad because she's on this like quest to save her family or whatever, and he's eating them. And it's just like,
no, it's like the end of the line of her species, right?
I think they only said family. So, and then they asked Jon Favreau, the guy who writes the series, like, it's a big enough thing that they're like, why did you do this? And he was like, we wanted to show that Baby Yoda wasn't just default cute as a character, and that he has like a darker side or whatever. So maybe it like can lead into the Force and stuff.
This shit's important. I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is what we should all be.
All right. We could go back to talking about.
Hey, I like this.
So I meant in general. It's important that we are talking about it, but those fucking morons should not be talking about it.
Like I feel like that's like classic Outrage Factory, is us talking about that.
Yeah, good. Yeah. That's fucking dumb. I can't believe that people would get upset about it. Like, how many other genocides have happened in Star Wars, by the way? Like, were there
exactly like they're blowing people up all the fucking time.
They blew up like
who's crying over Alderaan?
No one. Exactly. Or that one they blew up in the new series that I can't remember. They blew up another planet. Like they've blown up multiple planets.
Can you remember anything from the new ones? I don't
the newest ones.
Yeah,
it's hard because my brain, like now that we can have whatever we want to watch anytime we want to watch, I'm just watching too much stuff. Like I'm over consuming. Like right now they uploaded, like this is an example, they uploaded all the James Bond movies to Crave, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch all these movies front to back, and I've watched 7 of them in 4 days, and they're like, I can't remember which movie was which. So are
you guys down with the canceling of Sean Connery?
He's been the ultimate
life canceling.
He was canceled.
Like
he got the ultimate
God canceled him. Yeah.
Although watching the old James Bond movies, every time he slaps a woman, I'm like, oof, They really just went for it back then, didn't they? And it wasn't even that bad.
What are we? So are we retroactively canceling him because
I noticed on the Twitter that a lot of people would mention that he did an interview with Barbara Walters where he
said
it was okay to maybe slap your woman around a little bit. I got nothing to say about that, but I will say this. It was John Lennon's 80th birthday recently, and my 15-year-old daughter Sadie, who loves the Beatles. I took her to see Paul McCartney a few years ago.
Dope.
Oh, the only good Beatle?
Why would you say that?
Because Dale believes the Wings is better than the Beatles.
That's an Alan Partridge line. Wings is the band the Beatles could have been.
But that's a joke, right? Like,
yes, yeah, it's yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Wings is the next step in evolution of Paul McCartney's songwriting.
Well, like, I don't disagree, but I mean,
you're not wrong.
Like Lennon's contribution to the world after the Beatles was that fucking Imagine song we have to hear every Christmas.
Yeah, have you ever listened to the Plastic Ono Band album? It's pretty great. And
no.
All right. Anyway, I mean,
I haven't. I mean, I will.
Maybe you should before you go around spouting your fucking opinion. I would love to be proven
wrong, because every time I say I don't enjoy the Beatles as much as everybody else, I get that whole "you're a contrarian, you just hate them because they're popular," and it's like,
yeah. But then you say, "But I like Joe Rogan," and like,
I do like Joe Rogan.
Then what happens? The argument.
Yeah, well,
Joe Rogan is the fucking Beatles of podcasting. It's like, oh, I microdose. Oh, I'm so edgy.
Hey, he's never put out the equivalent of Yellow Submarine. So
my daughter was telling me that during John Lennon's 80th birthday, she said, well, first of all, she said to me, all my friends hate him. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't think your friends hate John Lennon. Because they think he's a wife beater. And this is, you end up getting into these
it's hard not to victim blame on this, with Yoko Ono being the victim.
Well, no, it wasn't Yoko though.
Oh, it wasn't.
No. He apparently he slapped his first wife Cynthia a couple of times, but
he didn't slap Yoko Ono.
I don't know if he slapped Yoko. I don't think he did, but based on his public statements, I suspect he didn't. I mean, I think he hurt Yoko in the same, there was the Lost Weekend and all of that stuff. Maybe we're getting into Lennon lore that we don't need to get into right now.
Yeah, but this is way.
However, he was a complicated and traumatized human being, as we all are, and he did some good things and he did some bad things. He was also a beautiful genius. I saw a really lovely interview with George Harrison because I was inspired to look into this because of what my daughter said. And my daughter, who's ridiculously intelligent, she was like, yeah, it really upsets me. Because I love the Beatles and I love John Lennon and it kind of doesn't matter what he did. I don't think he was a bad guy. And words to that effect anyway. And anyway, I found this lovely interview with George Harrison where it was after John's death. And the interviewer was really pushing him as they will, and saying, but John was no saint, was he now? John was no saint. And George goes, no, or she goes, no, he was no angel. That's what she said. He's no angel. And he goes, no, he wasn't an angel. And then he paused and he looked at her and he went, but he also was. And it was a beautiful moment, and there was a lot of truth in that. George Harrison was a person who I think was committed to speaking his truth, and how did we get onto this? We went from Yoda to John Lennon, but
we were talking about Sean Connery.
About Sean Connery being canceled. I really enjoy Sean Connery's work, and I really enjoy John Lennon's work. I don't enjoy Kamala Harris's work.
No, I have a question about Sean Connery.
She is the Ringo. She is the Ringo of the U.S. administration for sure.
Should I watch the movie Zardoz?
Yeah, of course you fucking should. Are you insane? That was a great movie.
Okay, I will put that one.
Hey,
yeah.
And also, Zardoz was made by the great filmmaker John Borman. When you're finished with Zardoz, watch Exorcist II: The Heretic again, which was
I've watched that.
Yeah. Watch
Like,
Exorcist 2: The Heretic
oh,
first time, and bear in mind that it was probably the most poorly reviewed film in history, and it's actually kind of a work of genius.
is it scarier than Exorcist 1? Because that movie
It's not scary.
traumatizing.
No,
Yeah.
not scary at all. But it's a repudiation of The Exorcist. It's a very clever film in a lot of ways. John Borman took on that project saying, I don't want to make a sequel to a film which is about child abuse. That's what he said. And he instead turned around and made this movie, which is very much about mythology and
that sounds way better than the first one. I love like mythology and like all that, like I watched the third one, and it's like always like has like it kind of hits on
great, hey?
Like where the demon came from, like somewhere in Egypt or whatever. So it's like anytime you go into the backstory of like the demon or the evil thing, I'm all for that.
Wasn't
like,
the demon from Iraq?
I think so. I can't remember. It was I remember the screen was like brown and sandy, and I kind of missed where, because he was at a market and he bought like a necklace, and I just assumed it was Egypt because it was sandy
because of your Orientalism.
Yeah.
Can we say that? Can we? PC police are going to be all over this episode.
Did you say Oriental, like where I'm oriented, or?
I mean, because of your narrow Western Anglo-Saxon view of the rest of the world.
Yeah, because
so anything sandy and brown is what did you say? Egypt.
Yeah, well, it's like if you show up, if you show a bazaar, like a bazaar, and it's in a sandy like desert country, and there are people wearing like ragged robes selling trinkets and stuff, I just automatically assume it's Egypt. Right. It's because so many movies in my childhood were based in Egypt, and like
really,
like the Indiana Jones series and all that, and
none of them were based in Egypt, were they?
Temple of Doom in Egypt?
No, I think it was in India.
I think maybe it's just because of the pyramids and stuff that I just assume all like spiritualness came from Egypt in some sort of way.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably that. So if they're showing like some sort of evil spirit in a charm in a sandy country, I'm like, well, that's obviously Egypt.
That's Egypt. I had a fun time yesterday trying to explain the difference to my 10-year-old boy, Topper. I mentioned him earlier, trying to explain the difference between celluloid and the celluloid image and the digital image. And he's getting really mad with me. What the fuck? He didn't say what the fuck. But he's like, Dad, what are these words that you're saying? What are you talking about? The romance of the grain and the mythic dimension. This means nothing at all to me. It was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move along.
I gotta say though, the HD version of movies that were on celluloid that are coming out now in the 60s, they look great. Like I went back to watch, like I said, I'm watching the old.
You're doing the Bond rewatch.
Yeah,
right?
like I'm watching Bond, and they started in '62, and they're like fucking looking super good, like better than movies in the '90s. And I guess it's just because they're on celluloids, and then they digitize those at a high level.
Yeah, that's right. Last night I watched the 4K restoration of Lucio Fulci's The New York Ripper from 1982. Very, very, it's an awful film, but my God, it looked great.
Yeah.
Great.
I love when you watch an old movie, you're like, this looks awesome. And then it's just shit. And you're like, well, at least it'll look good.
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah.
Are you guys fans of Lucio Fulci?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I know stuff about things. I'm definitely very artistic, and I know stuff about obscure movies.
Which has been your favorite Bond film so far?
Probably, it's tough to say. So
are you watching them in chronological order?
Yeah, I'm watching them in release order. I'm skipping the non-canonical ones because there's one Casino Royale that came out that was like a comedy that wasn't released by United Artists, and then there's a Bond. There's a Sean Connery came back in the 80s to do one that's not in the
Never
canon.
Say Never Again, which is kind of a remake of Thunderball.
Yeah. So I'm not including that, but I've only up to the first Roger Moore movie. So I've watched the 6 Sean Connery movies, the one George Lazenby movie, and I'm on Roger Moore. And of the Connerys, I would say Goldfinger's the best one because it's the most like when you think of like old James Bond, all the tropes and cliche things, they're from Goldfinger. Like that's the movie Odd Jobs in. That's the movie. What else happened in that? Pussy Galore's in it.
That lady's all gold. She's all covered in gold.
And Pussy Galore, probably one of my favorite characters from the Bond series, is in it because she's like I don't know how to say this without sounding like the oldest man alive, but she's like a rambunctious female character.
Real spark plug.
Yeah. But she has this
firecracker.
Like she has Pussy Galore's flying
Is she
circus.
up for it?
And she's like, I don't know, like an independent woman type of character where she like stands up to Bond instead of just being like like that type of thing. So that's why I like her a lot.
Have you made it to Diamonds Are Forever yet?
I just finished Diamonds Are Forever. That's the one Bond comes back after George. It's the 7th movie.
Yeah.
After George Lazenby. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's
but it's got Plenty O'Toole, right?
Isn't
the lady in that one called Plenty O'Toole, and she introduces herself to him in the casino, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm Plenty O'Toole," and he goes, "Named after your father, obviously."
Yeah, that was one of those like dumb cliche lines that just missed. Connery movies, like all the one-liners after he kills people, some of them are pretty bad, but some of them are actually funny.
Yeah. I don't really care for those films.
The least, the most cancelable movie of the series would probably be what was it? It was I think it was the last Bond one where he's I can't remember which one it was, but it's like they're like, we're gonna make you Japanese, and they basically dye his hair black and put him in a kimono, and you're like, ooh.
Is that You Only Live Twice?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. They give him the Japanese eyes.
Yeah, and then it's just like it's unintentionally hilarious.
What about, how do you feel about Sean Connery in the 3rd Indiana Jones movie?
He was really good in that.
All right.
I love all the Indiana Jones movies though, because
all of them?
Yeah, even Island of the Crystal Skull. I'm not one of those pile-on haters.
All right.
I get it. It was ridiculous that he jumped in a fridge and survived a nuclear blast, but it's ridiculous.
The best part of it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The guy ripped that other guy's heart out with his bare hand. That's part of the movie.
Yeah,
it's awesome because it's ridiculous.
All right,
we're way
off. The people that wrote Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, they made a film in the early 70s called Messiah of Evil that I really recommend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very sort of Lovecraftian, low budget Lovecraftian.
Nice.
Seaside. I love horror movies that are set in beachside towns. I can't explain why. I just always really like them. Possibly because I grew up in a seaside town.
Yeah, the weird thing about the early Bonds is like the first 5 movies are all like beachside, which is nice.
The first 5 Bond movies?
Yeah, they're all like
really.
Or not 5, maybe 4. Like they're all in like Miami or like Spain or some weird, like the ocean's always involved, because like for the first 4 ones, he's always at the end of the movie in a life raft plugging some girl. Like that's how like 5 of them end.
Yeah, it's true. So you haven't moved on to the Roger Moore films yet?
I just started, and I don't know how much I could talk about the first one. Fuck. I can't remember what any of these are called. The first Roger Moore movie. And it's like it's a blaxploitation movie. I feel like
Live and Let Die.
Yeah, and I feel like
which had a theme song by Paul McCartney of the Beatles.
Yes,
Wings.
And I fucking loved it because I was like, I love this song, and I've never heard it for the intention it was written, which was for the title sequence of that movie, and. Oh yeah, and so the movie is he's like, my name's James, and this other guy's like, names are for tombstones, and you're like, and it's like just like snappy comeback, and then like the CIA director's like, get me a locale on a pimp
Felix.
wagon.
Felix
Yeah.
Snyder.
He says,
again, I don't care for these films.
he says, give me a make on a pimp wagon. Like, and they say stuff like that in this one. And you're like, should I feel guilty for liking it because it's blaxploitation?
And and that movie would have been made by a very gentlemanly old English director.
Yeah.
Somebody who started working, started in the 30s working for the Ealing Studios in like Elstree, London. And now he's in like Miami or New Orleans.
Yeah, because you're like on one hand
trying to make a blaxploitation film.
Yeah, on one hand, you're like, is this kind of exposing new people to voodoo culture and like making it look good and exposing people in a good way, or is it just exploiting it totally bad and I should hate this more than I do? Like, that's what I'm asking myself as I go.
The James Bond novels were written by Ian Fleming, obviously, who was actually a British intelligence agency agent. Worked for MI6, and among his compadres at the time were other authors, including Roald Dahl, who wrote the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
The BFG.
He also
James
wrote
of
the
Giant Peach?
screenplay for one of the James Bond movies.
Roald Dahl?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's the third one.
Really? Eh?
Yeah. No, it's the second one.
They're all buddies back at the the bar after a day of spy work. A day of spycraft, which includes, which would have included at the time, writing popular novels that in some way massaged popular opinion in a certain way, usually in support of the goals of the British Empire.
So you're telling me that James Bond is a plot that was put out on purpose to make people okay with the idea of England going to other countries and inserting themselves into the political spectrum of that country and maybe or maybe not killing key.
I don't want to commit myself to an opinion here, but yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I love how we started off with like Joe Biden and all this like super high political stuff, and then now we're just into the weeds on James Bond.
I gotta bounce because my kid's yelling at me for dinner and it's 6 p.m. Do we want to wrap this up, or do you just want me to hop off and you guys can keep jerking each other off over your tasting movie?
Whatever you want is fine with me, but I think we should, before you go, point out that your outfit tonight is a reference to a movie we all love.
Great movie. I actually Midsommar, Midsummer, the movie. This was going to be my Halloween costume. I ordered it from China back in September. It showed up yesterday, so missed Halloween. My wife was the May Queen, and then I was going to be spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the film, her dickhead boyfriend who got sewn in a bear carcass and burned alive.
Not even just a mild spoiler.
No, that's the end of the movie. Fucking this is also I want to say this is my phase 2 pandemic wear, because like first phase working from home, I was all about like sweatpants, just like fucking sweatpants all day.
Now it's a bear costume.
Now it's like it's this fucking like bear pajama onesie, and it is like this thing makes sweatpants feel like a fucking burlap sack. Like this is just like, it's warm, it's soft. I keep hugging myself. This is so anyone who's looking at the COVID cases in BC and thinking that we're probably going to be spending most of our December in hibernation, pick yourself up a bear onesie.
Yeah. Does it have pockets?
Great advice.
It's got one big here for the viewers at home. It's got one big pocket right here.
Oh, that's weird.
It's got a big pocket.
I was gonna say, don't do the penis in the pocket joke.
I've got a tail, and the best thing, the Chinese really thought of everything, because it's got. I was like, well, how am I supposed to go to the bathroom? It's got an ass zipper that you can just open up and pop your ass out, and I don't even have to take this off to poop.
Derek, I don't want to be the one to have to tell you this, but you're a furry now.
Yeah, it's fine. Like,
You're like, they thought of everything. This bear suit has the zipper on the butt, so I could just open the butt and go to the bathroom. I mean, it probably has nothing to do with illicit sexual acts.
It doesn't, Dale.
Bootleg copies of this podcast are going to be passed around a certain community.
Yeah,
for years.
They're like, when they like, this is China grooming Derek to be a furry.
I mean, it works. That's how they're gonna erode Western civilization. Turn us all into furries.
Yeah, if you're gonna get me to be a certain type of person, you do it with comfortable clothes. That's a good opener.
It's the only opener now. Fucking hit us, two-pronged attack. First hit us with the virus and confine us all to our homes. Then hit us with the bear fucking furry onesies and get us. I guess next thing is like spam with anal porn. I don't know.
Yeah, or convince everybody that eating each other's asses is a good idea, like they do in the porn right now.
Maybe the bears do.
Yeah, you know what that probably is? China, they're like, part of their whole conspiracy to get us sick. They're like, look, if we can't get them with the pandemic while they're locked in their own doors, we'll get them to lick each other's assholes, and then they'll all get diphtheria and die from that, and they'll be more susceptible to the disease.
Anyway, on that note, Adrian,
hard to agree.
Great chatting with you. I'm gonna pop off. Thanks for listening to this episode of Outrage Factory. Dale, you can do the closing shit. And,
okay.
As always, thanks, Adrian. We really appreciate your opinions. You're a surprisingly smart guy. So surprisingly. Talk to you guys later.
Bye, Derek. Have fun.
Bye.
Be a child. Yeah. We could keep going, or we could quit if you want. I know.
What time is it? I know my dinner is going to be ready at 6:30 on the dot.
It's 6:15 right now.
I got 10 more minutes in me.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything? Sorry.
Is there anything? No.
So anything else that you wanted to touch on while I have your expert? Because you know so much about like Derek knows a lot about politics, but you know a lot about politics from like way back because you are well seasoned on information.
I'm old.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna dance around it really lightly.
I'm really okay with aging.
Yeah.
As David Bowie said, aging's it's a miracle. You end up becoming the person you were always meant to be.
That's a very good way to put it, because I feel like aging has been great for me because it's like I have less stuff convincing me to do the stuff I don't want to do. Like as I get older and people are like, you should want to do this. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to just go do stuff I feel like, and I'm not going to feel guilty that I'm not doing what someone else wants me to do.
Right. It seems like a pretty complex nest that you inhabit. The only thing I don't like about aging is the tits. I'm tired of watching my chest sag. I take my shirt off now and I look like fucking Kirk Douglas in Saturn III.
Yeah. Well, see, the reason that they make old man pants go way high up, people be like,
lift the breasts.
Well, it's just to do the optical illusion of you overcorrecting for the breasts, because you'll see the breasts. You're like, are those saggy, or is it because the pants are so high? And then you're like, it's the pants are high. My tits aren't this saggy.
No, when the nipple touches the belt line, you know that you're in your George Raft years. Yeah. I'm using a lot of references now that'll be sure are meaningless.
I'm pretending I know who you're talking about right now. I don't know who George. I got the one first, but not this George Raft.
Well, have you seen Saturn III starring Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett?
I grew up when they had good movies in the 90s. Although that science fiction, because I love the retrofuturism aspect of old science fiction, like what they thought technology was going to look like. Yeah. And it's like, and it's funny because it's always set now, and you're like, that technology looks better than what we have, but it doesn't do nearly enough stuff.
Well, on that note, I've been rewatching with my family. I watched it when it came out with my wife, and now we have these children hanging around. They live with us. And
whose fault is that, Adrian?
we got these tenants, and we've been rewatching that Fox series Last Man on Earth starring Will Forte.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it's a really great show. And I'll tell you something. I actually interviewed Will Forte in my role as a film person.
Oh, really?
And I had a face-to-face, like, in-person interview with Will Forte for the film Nebraska. And if you go online and like type into your Google or your DuckDuckGo or fucking whatever,
DuckDuckGo.
Who's the nicest celebrity?
Yeah.
Will Forte is like number one and Henry Winkler's number two.
Oh, really?
And I will tell you, based on my own personal encounter with Will Forte, lovely man. And I do enjoy his work. Anyway, my point is, we've been rewatching Man Who Fell to Earth, and I'd forgotten because I watched it 5 years ago. The very first thing you see in the first episode is 2020, the year the virus killed everyone.
Oh, whatever, wow!
Right? I'm like, oh wow, there's some fucking programming. What did they know?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny because you called it The Man Who Fell to Earth when you meant The Last Man on Earth.
Did I say The Man Who Fell to Earth?
Yeah, I thought you were like,
love that movie.
I thought you were going to start talking about how it's like the same as the old David Bowie movie.
It's not at all, but that's
David
in the air right
Bowie.
now because David
Bowie
in space. David Bowie. I love The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah.
Of course, the novel was written by Walter Tevis, who wrote the source material for The Queen's Gambit, which I've been enjoying of late. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I like Walter
Is The Queen's
Tevis.
Gambit good? Because it looked
really
like
good.
it's show about chess.
It's a show about chess.
Cool.
You got a problem with chess?
No, I just don't like. I don't know. I don't enjoy chess that much.
Yeah.
So I feel like a show based on chess wouldn't be that entertaining.
Well, it also has like drug addiction and
let's say I like drug addiction a lot more than I like chess.
Yeah, there you go. So there's your point of entry.
Yeah.
No, it's an excellent show. Yeah, David Bowie. What the fuck were we talking about? Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah, Man Who Fell to Earth and Will Forte being nice. And
I'm very interested in like art that is predictive. It happens all the time because I think in general artists are very open to the soup, the great cosmic soup.
Oh my God, are you going woo-woo on us? Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so you think that the person who dreamed up Man Who Fell to Earth might have been picking something up from the cosmic goo, and it could have been a prediction of where we'd find ourselves this year?
No, I think the person that thought up Last Man on Earth did that, though.
Wait, what did I say?
You said Man Who Fell to Earth.
See, you got okay, that's
but
it's so easy to confuse those two.
Man Who Fell to Earth, which came out in 1975 or 76, also probably predictive in its own way because it did predict a world without water, and well, maybe not, but anyway.
I feel like every time like people start talking about how water's gonna run out, I always think of Tank Girl.
Right.
That movie and how like they like sucked the water out of each other to kill them because that's how much water was worth.
Starring Lori Petty
and
Ice-T as a kangaroo.
Yeah. And then they made a spin-off movie, I believe, of the kangaroos, and I haven't seen it though. And I think that's one of those movies they buried that you can't find anymore.
You mean Carol by Todd Haynes?
What's Carol?
Nothing. I have nothing. I don't know why I said that.
Sorry, I wasn't receptive enough for that joke.
Spotlight. Hey, won the best movie Oscar, best picture, 2016. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Mad Max Fury Road was about a world without water. So you see how it all comes together.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think we should end on that because it tied it up quite nicely, and you got to go eat food. And last time I kept you long, and I don't want your wife to be mad at me for keeping you long 2 times in a row. Yeah,
you don't want that. You're right. So
she's a lovely woman, and I want to stay in her favor.
Yeah, you do.
So yeah, all that stuff we're talking about, you could find Adrian on. You have a podcast, right? Are you guys still doing that?
Yeah. It's called The Escapists, and Yeah, and I just, I'm currently writing for a Vancouver arts and entertainment outlet called
Oh, you get
Stir.
closer and closer to saying it. It's like you get less ashamed of this podcast every time you say it, so you're more willing to admit where you work.
It's not shame. It's just more. I don't care for self promotion.
Yeah,
I
know
even
how you feel.
But yeah, stir.ca. I just wrote an article about MK Ultra.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Stir Creative. No, sorry. I can't remember. Find it on Twitter. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, just Google your name.
Yeah, Adrian Mack, MK Ultra. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
That's fun. I'm gonna read that because I like all that shit on it.
Yeah. And it's it's a piece to preview the Vancouver Podcast Festival, which may be of interest to you and Derek. And that happens in Vancouver next week. I think.
Are you
Thursday
involved in that more than writing for Stir?
No. I just wrote a piece about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things they'll be doing there is they're interviewing Michelle Shepard, the journalist Michelle Shepard, and the CBC's Ian Hannamansing about their. They did a 6-part CBC podcast on Project MK Ultra.
Oh, nice!
And I've written a little story about it. But there's also there's a lot of stuff going on, and I urge your 25 listeners to check that out. And
they will.
Yeah. And so it's been great talking to you again. I'm covered in ash. And
you can't tell.
Good.
What's your Twitter handle? I always forget. It always just comes up.
Adrian Macked.
Okay. I'm Super Dalebot. You can follow us.
I know.
You don't have Facebook, right? You're like
I do, but I never go there.
Okay, yeah. You could find us Outrage or Facebook.com, Outrage Fact Pod. We have a Twitter, Outrage Fact Pod. You can find us on YouTube, Outrage Factory. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, fuck, I want to see how good looking Adrian is, just go to YouTube and listen to this entire episode again, just so I feel better about myself and how many listeners we have. I think we're gonna try get the Patreon set up again, but not too many people cared about that because why would you pay when you can get it for free? And I agree with you. I don't give to anybody's Patreon, so I don't know. Just what you should do if you want to support this podcast is go to Redbubble and buy swag off there, because I think it gives us like $1 each time, but then you get sweet shit to wear and you could get, these are on there.
Just remember, people, though, that charity is no substitute for justice.
Mm-hmm. Very well put, Adrian. Until next time, let's cap it off with that, except for my annoying catchphrase I have. Because that was a perfect way to tie it up, and then I just kept talking. So it's awesome. Okay, everybody.
That's wit. All right.
Stay angry.
You been on the tanning bed again, Dale?
No, it's just my computer's dark for some reason. It's like, it's rated outside. Now you're going to be dark. So I put this light here, like closer to make it more light, and it just makes my head look rounder. I'm very self-conscious about the shape of my head.
Can lights do that?
It is right now because my head's not this round.
Is it
it's
a
just the light
that you repurposed from McDonald's?